You may assume that a Hellcat swapped Honda Accord would be just as unreliable as a Hellcat, but that's not actually the case because of two main things. So first off, you have to factor in the weight. A normal Hellcat weighs like what, at least 4,400 pounds if you fully gut the car, so that's on the low end. This weighs like 2,000. Like, this is literally a death machine on wheels, war machine on wheels, whatever you want to call it. And because it weighs so much less, for instance, the transmission doesn't have to pull as much weight. It's gonna make it a little bit more reliable in some ways, but then I decided to fully modify the absolute fuck out of that Hellcat engine and made it a little bit more unreliable than a normal Hellcat. In terms of the weight, I think that mainly just has to do with like the transmission and maybe other parts of the car, like the suspension or whatnot. But I think the engine is gonna be more unreliable than a normal Hellcat because of how I modified it. But because of how I've been driving it recently, because I really just come out here, you know, make a video, post up, just yap about the car for a little bit or whatnot. I'm not really doing anything too crazy that could break the car, and that's because right now I'm a little broke. I'm not gonna cap. I'm not trying to, you know, break the car and have to drop a few racks and something that I can't afford. So I'm trying to keep it more reliable than usual. But over the past year or so of having this car Hellcat swap, you would think it would be a lot more unreliable. And don't get me wrong, it being a Hellcat engine, it was a little unreliable at times. Now at the very beginning, it was unreliable with the transmission because I didn't use a Hellcat transmission. It was front wheel drive and I used a transmission from an LS4. That's all I need to say. Now you know why that transmission was unreliable. I quickly decided to switch that up, and then I did use a normal Hellcat transmission paired with the drivetrain to make it rear wheel drive. It's not rear wheel drive anymore. It's currently all wheel drive thanks to a drivetrain from a Trackhawk. But after I started to really modify this engine and start to push like over 1,000 horsepower, it wasn't as unreliable as I would suspect, because if you're just saying that out loud, 1,000 horsepower on a modified supercharged V8 engine, I mean, let's be real, it's only 300 more than stock, and I did build the internals clearly, so I did make it more reliable in some ways. I mean, generally speaking, it's a 1,600 horsepower V8. There will be problems. There will be things that randomly start to leak or break, or things that have to be replaced and repaired or whatnot. But to be honest, as of recently, I haven't really been getting on it too much, so I haven't had many problems for a long time. I mean, of course, every now and then some small little thing will come up, maybe even engine light or whatnot. But if I had to rate the reliability on the Hellcat swapped Honda Accord from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most reliable like stock Honda, or 1 being drag car, you have to rebuild it every time you even drive it, I would say this scores a solid 7.3. It's fairly reliable. I can drive it every day, and if you don't drive it hard, of course you're not going to have any problems. But once you do hit the gas a little bit, maybe get a little loose with the wheels, try to do things you're probably not supposed to do in an all-wheel drive car, problems will arise. I already know a lot of people thinking this, well, you've been yapping about this engine, but you haven't showed it yet. Well, if you want to see the engine, just watch this video on screen right now.